three-dimensional drawing skills and stuff, and they end up making $100,000 a year as a fabricator out there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy that some of these programs that they're dropping are just basic skill stuff that you and I done when we were in school. One thing that you talked about a little bit and I've seen this a bunch. Everybody has their special area that they want to do. I mean, the thing is just like you had some issues with reading and stuff like that, and you jumped in there and used your hands to do something, okay? And I see some of the best mechanics that I've ever seen, some of the best technicians, and some of them, and I've seen some of the drawings that you've done, and I mean, they're excellent. You know, so I mean, when you lay out something and do that stuff, that never harmed you. I mean, the thing is that, I mean, you could do that part with no problem. It was just sitting down and reading the manual. That was an issue. And I've had kids come through that, you know, their parents would tell me immediately that the kid was, you know, this kid's had a problem in high school, but I put him in the shop and he's absolutely a wizard. You know, I mean, he knows everything. But I know that you've seen it. What do you think the industry, as far as the magazines and stuff that's out there, that information is getting better and better every day for these kids, and these kids are reading that information. I mean, when they talk to you at shows and stuff, it's amazing how much they know.
A magazine, though, you have to understand something. A magazine is written different than a textbook.
Yeah.
Okay? A textbook, they're going to take 20 pages to tell you 5 sentences of information. That's where you lose those kids. You take a textbook, a magazine, and they write 4 paragraphs. They tell you tire size, rear end, engine combination, transmission. For a kid that has trouble reading, like myself, I can pick up those short, quick bullet points. I can make that work for me. So that's where the hands-on end of it comes in. I couldn't take a welding course in a college class because they want to teach me metallurgy. They want to teach me all this stuff that I'm never going to use for welding, when I'm going to walk in my shop, hit the switch, and burn rod. The only thing that a lot of these kids need to know is how hot to burn that rod and what's a good weld. And the rest will come. I've never been officially trained in welding, but I actually got a certification in pipe welding because I learned how to weld. That's the difference.
You were in the Seabees, of course.
Yeah.
And you've done all kinds of engineering projects and been all over the world.
The world.
Yeah, you know. And you've been out there, and a lot of the stuff that you have to learn on the fly. I mean, if you was in Seabees, I mean, they'd throw stuff at you in the last minute.
Yeah.
You know. And that experience carried over into your car building experience because you were able to, you know, to take that information and change it over. And some of the performance industry, some of the stuff, if you don't get in there and do it, it's never going to make any sense to you.
Right. It's never going to happen. You're not going to know where to start, and that's a big problem. You've got to be able to. I think that's where the concept end of it comes in, because when I look at something, I know where I'm going to lay it out, and that's the difference. With, that's where thinking on your feet comes in. That's where that last minute change comes in, where you got to make it.
One of the biggest concerns that we have is as parents, especially mothers. I mean, and I'm not going to point my finger at all mothers, but some mothers come in and, they like to see a certification, or they like to see something on paper that says that my son or my daughter has been through this. But the one thing that the performance industry has lacked, I think, and you can carry it a little further than that, is there hasn't been a written in stone. The Department of Labor says that the performance industry is a true industry. But what are you seeing out there? How many shops are out there? I mean, how many people are building this stuff? And what all are they doing? I mean, we know they're doing chassis and engines and stuff, but you take it a little further and let me know, and let the parents know what their kids are in for.
There's a huge industry. I mean, just in the performance industry, if you're looking at chassis, just off the top of my head, you've got Chris Austin's Chassis Works, you've got TCI, you have Detroit Speed and Engineering. They're doing subframes for first generation Camaros and Novas. These are guys that are, this is geometry. You know what I mean? Granted, some of these people have college degrees, but for a guy that understands the concept again, they can figure this out. And it's important information. It's out there. If you don't understand how a front end works, how can you build one?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and that thinking on the fly thing goes back to that. You're going to build something that's not going to be 100% perfect. You've got to make it perfect. And that's the difference. So with that being said, you've got all these people out there building chassis. Just for argument's sake, I'm picking chassis because that's what I do. You've got all these people building chassis. There's a huge industry that's popped up for it. I mean, look at all the chassis that people make for 32 Roadsters, a car that's celebrating its 75th anniversary this August. Who's been putting these cars together?
Oh, yeah.
Someone's selling chassis for them.
Oh, I went to Gatlinburg here a while back, and I couldn't even get to the center of town. There was so many cars there; it was unbelievable. I mean, they're claiming that there's like 250,000 visitors over there in 2 months' time over there in September. You know, with all the people that come to that one town, and every one of them's driving a hot rod or a muscle car.
Well,
you know?
and think about it: if you've got some kid that learns how to weld. Even if he doesn't do chassis, look at all the other things. If he just knows how to MIG weld and TIG weld, look at all the other things he can do. He can go to somewhere like Caterpillar and get a job hard-facing blades, repairing heavy equipment. He can get a job at something like Freightliner or Mack, Peterbilt, welding on chassis. You know what I mean? You've got construction. Look at the whole construction industry. I mean, high structural, that's big money. My dad did high structural steel, and in 1978, he was making $22 an hour, and my father was a high school dropout.
Yep. Well, see, the thing is the skills that we teach here, they can use in all kinds of different industries. I mean, we're using 30 different trades here to pull from. So, I mean, if a kid went out there and had to find a job that wasn't in the performance industry, it's
he can
there.
get a job.
I mean, they're almost on the borderline of being junior engineers by the time they get through with all the trick stuff that we're training them and teaching them here. I mean, so it's really wild at the direction they go. When we talked first about doing this program, and you and I sat down and we talked about the importance of what we went on, you know, you really put a lot of emphasis on the fact that we do like build teams where the kids can actually get in there and build cars. So we incorporated 640 hours in our year-long program that the kids will actually be a part of a team, you know, with 10 to 15 kids on a team and building cars. Now, you talked to me about some real interesting parts of that build team when you first talked to me about that concept, and I want you to sort of share that with some of the parents over, you know, how important it is for those kids to get in the shop.
The big thing to me, whenever a kid builds a car, as part of building something, they need to see it finished. Because now, not only have they worked on it, they've touched it, they've become a part of it, because you know the things that they've seen, they've put in it. Now when they go out and that car is seen somewhere, I don't care where it is, wherever that car is seen, someone else is going to say, so-and-so built that car. And it's not so much for that kid. The kid knows inside that he did a good job. There's a sense of pride in that. That's why it's so important. And once you start elevating that kid's pride and you start elevating that kid's self-esteem, they become a better person. That's, to me, the biggest part of being part of a build team. You know what I mean? Because not every kid's going to be good at everything. You're going to have one kid that's good at electrical. You're going to have one kid that's good at bodywork. And he may not, the kid who's good at bodywork may not be able to form metal. But you've got a kid now that can form metal, and they work together. It teaches them self-esteem. It brings up all that stuff. But not only that, they learn how to work with each other. Because you have to cooperate when you build a car with more than one person.
Yep.
You've got to cooperate because everything fits together in an order.
Well, man, I sure do appreciate you spending some time with us today.
No
it's good
problem,
for the kids.
Mark.
It's good for the parents. And anytime you want to come over and do top secret stuff, you just come on over. I'll put you in the back room, and we'll lock the door back there in the He-Man Woman Haters Club and let you go at it.
Cool. Thanks a lot, Mark. I appreciate it.